Welcome back to the Coaching Lab podcast. This is part 2 of the interview with Matt Fitzgerald. If you missed part 1, you definitely want to go back to that. That was available last week. Tap into that very easily. We got into a lot of the kind of foundational elements of this whole idea of chasing mastery and what that means in athletics, but also in life, and how to build on that. If you missed that one, please go back. I mean, you could listen to this one first and then go back later if you want. But I think that one sets the tone for some of the things we're getting into today. We got into so many topics. We were chasing so many rabbit trails that we felt like we had to break this one into 2. So this is part 2 of the interview that started last week. If this is your first time joining us here on the Coaching Lab podcast, my name is Dr. Brad Cooper of Catalyst Coaching. We're excited to have you here. You got so many options of podcasts, and I'm grateful that you, for some reason, whatever that reason is, decided to join us this week. Welcome to the Coaching Lab podcast. Quick note to those of you who are coaches or you're leaning that way. If you're already a health and wellness coach, the Coaching Retreat and Symposium is coming up soon. It's in September. It's filling up. Such an exciting time. We keep the costs low. We basically break even if we're lucky on this thing, but it is a powerful, powerful weekend. Great speakers, obviously. Incredible scenery up in the Rocky Mountains of Estes Park, Colorado. The best part, it's what you are doing with each other as far as connecting and building relationships. And in a lot of ways, it almost feels like a family reunion when we get together. This is the 7th year we've done this. And in a lot of ways, it almost feels like a family reunion when we get there. Because I would say probably about a half of the attendees have been there multiple times. And so they're coming back, and it's the first time they've seen each other and first time we've seen them in a year. And there's hugs and high fives and just, oh, how are you? And what's going on? So anyway, it's a valuable time. Hope you can join us. If you're not yet a coach, our next cohort for the Catalyst Coaching Institute is coming up soon. You can register for that at catalystcoachinginstitute.com or reach out to us. We're happy to talk about details and answer any questions you have about your career and where things are going. We've been doing this a long time. We've been training coaches since 2007. We were one of the first programs to be approved by the MBHWSC, and we keep it personal. Most of our classes have less than 20 students in them, and we do that for a reason. We want to have that connection. So if that's something you're looking at, please reach out. Results at catalystcoachinginstitute.com. We can set up some time to chat, or we can answer your questions via email, whatever you prefer. With that said, let's jump back into this interview with Matt Fitzgerald. Chasing mastery. What does that mean? How do we go about that? How can we build on it? Thanks for joining us. Love the title of Chapter 12. But how do you feel? Come on, Fitzgerald. Don't you know data provides all the answers? What are you talking about here? What? Fill us in on why does this matter? How do you feel? You touched on it earlier. Let's dig into this a little bit more now.
Yes. I mean, nothing is ever going to change in this regard. So, I mean, the point, my starting point when I'm trying to drive this home is that it's just simply a fact that human endurance performance is limited by perceptions. It is not limited by physiology. It is constrained by physiology. That's why not everyone can run a marathon in exactly 100%. The same time. Yep. But what ultimately decides how fast you run that marathon is perception. So how hard it feels when you're close to your limit. Yeah, I had an experience, because like I said, it's been I've been out of the game for a while. And when I was preparing for the half marathon I ran yesterday, I had this 18-year-old kid from London visiting Dream Run camp. And I said, hey, I want to go out and just kind of time trial half marathon, just see where I'm at. I'm I'd like to get under, squeak under 90 minutes. And he's like, this guy can do it with his eyes closed. He's like, yeah, I'll pace you through it. And so we go out there and we're running loops around this circuit, and I get 8 miles in, and I'm like, his name's Woody. I'm like, Woody, I'm cooked. And he just says, no, you're not. And he just keeps running at 650 pace, and is like, either you're just going to keep running with me, or I'm going to be very disappointed in you. So I just hung on. It was pride, I'm cooked, and you're going to see it. The wheels are going to come off. Well, guess what? I ran the same last 5 miles, did not slow down, squeaked under 90 minutes. And what I realized is wow, it's been so long since I pushed to this level that I forgot that performance is limited by perception. And so, because like, when you get out there and you're really hurting and you're like, my God, I have 5 miles to go, you can feel like I'm cooked. Like, no, like there's no more. And Woody can be right by saying, you're wrong. You're not cooked. It's just hard. That's all it is. Now, of course, everyone has a limit to just how much perceived effort they can tolerate, but that's a mutable, so like a lot of athletes, in that half marathon, not everyone went as deep into the pain cave. Like even like among those who really wanted to run as fast as they could, some of them just thought, oh, I definitely, this hurts a lot. I can't hurt any more than this. And others just blew right through that perception. It's like, oh yeah, I can go way deeper than that. Those athletes too also have their limit. So that's the starting point, is like performance is limited by how hard it feels. And so that just permeates like all of the training experience and everything else. So that gets us back to things like affective load, where if you just ask an athlete, hey, how hard is training generally right now? Their answer to that question is going to be more predictive of outcomes than, heart rate data or whatever else. So, I don't want to be completely dismissive of the metrics.
Sure,
I like them.
They matter.
But you need to contextualize and interpret those things and always keep your better eye on the subjective stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. And I don't remember what year Lance ran Boston, but I ran it the same year and was having a rough day and just feeling bad. And I stopped and I'm walking. And then this guy comes up on a bike and taps me on the shoulder, says, "Can you move over? Lance Armstrong's coming through." And I completely flipped from runner to marketer because I had our company's logo on my T-shirt, and I realized all the pros are done. The cameras are 100% on Lance. I'm just going to tuck in between him and the camera for a mile and get some free advertising. So I shifted, and my perception changed completely. I forgot I was hurting. I was thinking we can get some advertising here, and ended up running the last 13 miles, finishing right in front of him. And it was one of those really opened my brain up to, you weren't hurting at all. You were fine. You just ran a 2:51 or whatever, including a 10-minute walk in between. So anyway, it was kind of funny. I mentioned one of your hard, fun tests that you were talking about earlier. I want to dig into a couple of Fitzgerald classics, but one of them that popped off the pages for me was the stretch intervals, where you cover slightly more distance with each interval. Can you walk folks through that? And it's almost counterintuitive. So why do you like that? And then what would be some other maybe surprising sessions that you like thrown into the mix once in a while?
Yes. So stretch intervals, my default for that would be, you do like, maybe 10 times 30 seconds uphill. And so those would be hard efforts. And the rules are you have to cover more distance in each interval. And the last one has to be an all-out effort. And you can't just walk the first interval to give yourself plenty of room. Like the first one.
Big gap.
Yeah. So like the idea is like run the first interval hard enough so you leave just enough room for 8 or whatever it is, 8, 9 subsequent increases. And like I'll give people like brightly colored socks to run with. And so you run for 30 seconds, like hard but contained, and then you drop a sock at 30 seconds. And then you got another one, you go back down the hill and you run and you at the 30 seconds drop a sock, and hopefully it's like just a few feet. And then you just keep going, pick up the first sock and keep going until you've done 10. And if you nail it, you will, the last rep will be like as hard as you can go. And each time you will have gone just a few feet farther. And what that does is that's a way of forcing mindful engagement in the session. So again, like if you just say, hey, do 10 times 30 seconds hard uphill, they can just shut their head off and it's just a workout. It's not deliberate practice. But what endurance masters can do is they can slice perceived effort into the thinnest gradations. And so, all the time, like if I give, a less experienced endurance athlete an interval set, there's a huge spike at the start of each interval. And that's because like they only know slow and fast.
Yep.
And like, an endurance master is like, are you kidding me? There's like 25 other gears between slow and fast, and I can do those gears, all of them. So yeah, it's just like kind of a gamifies, like the deliberate practice thing a little bit, and then it's fine, if the first time I give that to an athlete, they botch it. It's like, well, remember, it's practice. So, but you've started a process of like, just getting athletes to tune in to the granularities of what they're perceiving. And just, it's just honestly just being able to feel your own body like better and better and better. So yeah, that's one of them.
So just I want to reflect on that just a touch, because we've been talking so much about self-regulation, and it sounds like, once again, that's self-regulation. You are tuning in, you're being mindful, you're not just running, you're breaking it from 2 to maybe I can't do 25 iterations, but now I sense 4 different speeds, or 4 different efforts. So yeah, I love that. Okay, so keep going.
Yep. And yeah, so the thing I don't want to do with this stuff, because if you're fussy about execution the way I am, there's the risk of us making athletes feel like they're constantly failing. It's like, okay, great. Now I have 2 ways to fail. Like I can run slower than I wanted, and I can like mess up the pacing. Right. I don't want that. So like it's about like trying to approach it as a game, and focus on progress over perfection. It's like, yeah, perfect is just somewhere out there. Right. We don't need to worry about it. Right. But we will move toward perfection faster if we do it this way. Right. So yeah, it should be like a game. It should be fun. I like precision intervals for another one. This is basically what the pros do in every interval workout. It works for distance-based sessions. So getting back to your example of like, 12 times 400 meters, you just go out and you run the first one at whatever like the appropriate effort is. And then now that's your stake in the ground. So let's just say you run it in, 80.4 seconds. We're doing the decimals here. Okay. And it's like, now your goal is to hit 80.4 seconds in every subsequent interval. So you're just like trying to like dial in, like, does the 0.4 matter? Absolutely not. But the effort to hit the 80.4 does matter. And again, like if you do that, you're going to be like, on paper, it's going to be the same physical stimulus, but something very different is happening experientially. If you're trying to like, be that precise in your execution, again, you might be all over the place the first time you try it, but like I've seen it, like you will get better and better and better. And it's satisfying. You're like, wow, like I do have control where I thought I didn't.
That would be fun to then go back to the data and see what your heart rate's doing, or if you could jot down a quick subjective effort level or something, RPE. Wow, I love that one. Okay, and you had another one in mind.
Let me think. Another one is long accelerations. And so I think, most runners are familiar with accelerations. It's like a variation on strides or striders. So it'd be like 15 seconds, like continuously accelerating from, like moderate to a relaxed sprint. But for long accelerations, you stretch that out over minutes. So it was an eminent French exercise physiologist, Veronique Blatt, who I learned this from. She has her formats. I usually do 2-minute accelerations. So it'd be like 5 times 2 minutes. And in each 2-minute segment, the goal is to accelerate continuously, like from the start to the finish. So again, like now you're doing that thin slicing of perceived effort and also perceived velocity, but you're doing it in an analog versus a digital or quantum way where it's continuous. And talk about you have to be really mentally engaged. Yeah. So like me, like I can do it. Like, you can look at the graph afterward and it's just a thing of beauty. It's just as long as it's like a flat course and not a lot of wind, it's like, and so again, like, it's cool in a couple of ways. Like how often you actually do that in running where like, hey, you just did a workout and you hit every single intensity there is. Like, that's not a thing. So it's actually a cool little, break from the norm, like for like physiologically, but also it's gamifying training in a way that kind of forces you to be intentional and mindful And again, most athletes don't have that beautiful upward sloping line. That's okay. Progress over perfection. The idea is that you don't just do this as a one-off. We'll bring it back around in a few weeks, and you'll remember last time. You will have takeaways, and you will very, very likely move a little bit closer to perfection the next time.
And you're doing a couple things with that. You're coming back to the fun piece. So, oh man, I've never done this before. Okay, let's just go have fun with it. Let's see how that goes. And you're creating that perspective when you said we're going to come back to it in 3 weeks or whatever. You're putting the perspective on what matters is the ongoing, the progress, not perfection, not what happens today. So right. I love that perspective. Speaking of perspective, you touch on journaling or reflecting as part of the training journal process. Do you think we're losing this? Because, I mean, I have, 20 journals up in my bookshelf, and I don't use one anymore. I glance at it in Garmin. I'm, maybe look at a couple other details in Strava or Training Peaks or something. But do you think we're losing that critical? I know Kipchoge's big about journaling everything. Do you think we're losing that piece? And is there a way to encourage athletes to integrate that in some format?
Yeah, I mean, I think journalers are kind of swimming against the prevailing current at this point, because there's like a lot of alternatives.
Sure, and they're automated.
Yeah. And then social media would be one, or just like you have your Strava upload and you just say something for public consumption about that is different. So having a coach can help.
Sure, like you're getting this
exactly.
Yeah.
So I use the comment space with all the athletes I coach, but that's a record for them. They're not just communicating to me. It's also a record they can go back to. I think, we probably are losing it, but at the same time, just saying, oh, well, we need to go backward isn't all that realistic either, because time's marching this way. And so you might just, folks just might need to be creative in finding ways to, get the benefits of journaling in a way that just doesn't feel like swimming against the current. So maybe it's not just, pen and paper type of journal. It's something else. Though nothing wrong with pen and paper. For me, I don't have a leg to stand on because every word I write is for public consumption. I do not journal myself, but I get the job done. Yeah.
Totally. Well, and maybe it's as simple as if Strava is your go-to, or Garmin or Training Peaks or whatever, taking advantage of that second box, not just putting the ran easy 10 or whatever, but literally. Felt a little off today, sluggish, got better around mile 7, where we're thinking about, because the key isn't what we write, it's what we think. It's what we reflect on. It's the process of pondering, how was that? Not just, I got it done. Yeah, it's not just for checking a box. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I'm curious, how would coaches who have coached you describe you as an athlete? What key aspects from the book would they suggest that you would benefit most from absorbing?
I love that. I think, I think all athletes self-limit. Totally. I'm no exception. And that it's fine to just be able to say that. Hey, sure. I, like every other athlete, self-limit in certain ways, just like through habits of mind. And mine has always been, there's probably more than one, but number one is impatience. I am a very impatient person. It was funny, for the race yesterday, I signed up for the VIP experience because, it's a big city race. I know the city of San Diego well. It's a cluster to get around with an event that large. And I was on a VIP shuttle that took 40 minutes to go a mile and a half. And I'm dying. I'm absolutely dying. I know when my start time is, I see the window for warming up closing, and then that window is closed. Then the window for using the bathroom is closing. Oh. I'm tearing my hair out. I'm looking around. The other people on the bus are just munching peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. aren't you starting at the same time I am? Like, aren't you going nuts? But that really affects me.
Oh, totally.
Like I'll when things like when I'm coming off a setback, I'll be in a rush, to make up for lost time. Or even when things are going well, I'll get greedy and push for more. It's like, oh man, it was gonna be like 2 steps to my ultimate goal, but now I'm gonna go for it in 1 step, and I'll get injured or I'll overreach. And it's because of impatience. And so so in this new phase of my athletic journey, like I am all about like using my self-awareness around that to break out of those patterns. Like I'm always going to be an impatient person. It's not about giving myself a personality transplant. It's just about like making different decisions, like doing different things that are no longer self-limiting me fitness and performance wise, but like acting like a patient athlete, even though I'm not patient on the inside. So
well, when you frame it that way, I think that's huge. You just took this thing that, okay, this is me, and frankly, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror. So thank you very much. But you phrase it as self-limiting. This isn't just, oh, I just need to be this way. No, I'm not having the results I could because I am fill in the blank. I love that reframing.
Yeah. Yes. So this relates to a lesson in the book called Keeping It Real. And so that's what we're really talking about. It's like, humans, all of us, athletes included, are master self-deceivers.
Yes,
like we all do this as well. And because sometimes it's just painful to open up your mouth and say, like, I'm an impatient person, and it limits me as an athlete. Like we don't want to recognize those things about ourselves. But like it's empowering when you do. Like I really love that question. It's like, because you should be able to. You shouldn't you should be able to say the same things about yourself as like your former coach would say about you. It's like, well, the problem with Matt was,
right.
Well, Matt knows this, right. And he's doing something about it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. You tying in with that, you note the value of allowing your preferences to shape your training. So you're now tuning into, I like this, I don't like this. I love that. And it kind of sounds like it could potentially expand the gaps that we have as athletes. Do you suggest going that route, but creating some monitoring, I don't know if it's the difference between I love lots of speed work versus I love lots of mileage or whatever. Do you maybe have them track how their pace drops off from 5K to 10K to half marathon to marathon to see, are we staying in that 4 to 6% drop off range as we double the distance type thing? Or I don't know, because I loved it and I could see problems with it.
Yep. Yes. So yeah, I mean, like if you talk to any like champion level endurance athlete about like, why do you train that way? Like very often the answer is because I like it.
Yeah.
I just interviewed this guy, Tommy Hughes, who is breaking lots of world records in the older marathon age category. So he ran 227 something at 59, like 230 flat more than once in his 60s. Like all-time best performances in the marathon for people his age. And like, how does he train? So he's from Northern Ireland. He does everything alone. He runs prodigious volume. He just come off a 130-mile week. He's 65 now. He does everything that he calls like at 3/4 pace. So just like every run counts. He's not really obeying the 80-20 rule. He does no speed work. He does a park run, so a 5K timed event every Saturday.
So that could be speed work.
Yeah, so that's his speed work. He doesn't strength train, doesn't stretch. His diet is
he's ruining everything.
Yeah. but like, but it's clearly working for him. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like you can't say to the guy who's run faster than any human his age has ever run, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
It's like, define wrong.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So he himself says, I probably like could benefit from like having a coach give me some tweaks, but like, he's, and the key is, I mean, for sure, like, I mean, he's probably not fully optimized for performance, but there are big rocks and there are little rocks. The big rock is like, he'll say like, I love running. Like, I enjoy it. Like, I look forward to it. I'm hungry. It doesn't feel like work for me. And so like, that's the key right there. It's just like, yeah, he's doing it a little bit idiosyncratically and he loves it. And like, he's investing. What's the main thing? The 130 miles per week. Like, he's running a lot. He's getting very fit.
He's staying healthy. He's staying healthy.
Yes. That's true. I give lots of examples like in that chapter of like other champion endurance athletes who do things that like are a little off center. But if you ask them, it's like, it appeals to me. Like it's my style. Like, Joan Benoit Samuelson famously would not she would just wing it. She was not structured in her training. Then you have like Constantina Dita Temescu, who Romanian marathoner who won the gold medal in 2008 in the marathon, did the same training every single week, same workouts year round, same venues, like monotonous, but like that was her formula. And so you do need to give license and permission and even encouragement, because like that stuff matters. Again, it's like those preferences are not noise, they're signal. But to your point, like, well, what happens if like you have a triathlete who hates swimming and you just let them indulge their preferences? Like, they just strengthen their strengths, let their weaknesses fester, and they don't get any better. So you need to like, again, you can't gaslight yourself. Like, you need to like give license for your preferences, but also just compartmentalize those things and keep doing, one thing you hate for every three you love. So yeah, a little bit of a balance there.
So restraint, your quote, just because you can doesn't mean you should, really hit home. Talk us through this for those of us who struggle to apply this concept. The Kipchoge quote about, he goes 80% Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and 50% Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I kind of chuckled, but I've read that. Like, that's dialed in. So for folks listening that say, yeah, I go too hard, kind of the typical amateur, I go too hard on my easy days and I don't go hard enough on my hard days. But walk us through how you might help a client get over that hurdle or modify that hurdle.
Yeah, in my experience, I'm fortunate just to, be able to, talk to a lot of champion endurance athletes, great, highly successful athletes. And what you see again and again in these people is restraint. The title of that chapter is Unsexy Restraint, because, grit is sexy. And because it gets all the attention. Yep. And grit is very important for an endurance athlete. But it's also kind of table stakes, just like gets you in the room. It doesn't get you to the mountaintop. And what you see when you look at who's on the mountaintop is this other virtue, like, probably like co-equal in importance to grit is restraint, just the ability to hold yourself back. I mean, that is the name of the game in endurance sports. Again, it's like, it doesn't have a lot of sizzle to it, but I mean, what are you doing in the first 100 meters of a marathon? Holding yourself back. What are you doing at mile 11 of a marathon? Still holding yourself back. Yeah. Like, what are you doing all the way until you can see the finish line? Holding yourself back. And like, that's what we're doing all the time. And so it's super important. But like, I mean, there aren't too many people who start off a marathon sprinting and not restraining themselves at all, but there are degrees. And you can have like, Jedi black belt level restraint. And like that's actually a requirement for fulfilling your potential as an athlete. And it manifests in like, just nuanced ways. The vaunted Norwegian method of endurance training that's all the rage right now restraint is the essence of that method. Like I'm belatedly, I mean, I couldn't take advantage of it for a while because I was too sick. But now, like I'm incorporating some of their, methods into my training, and you can just feel it. Like I went out last week and did like 16 times 400 meters on 30 seconds rest, which sounds like a really beefy workout, right? It's like, and that's a baby version of what Ingebrigtsen does. Like it's 25 times 400. Like, but but like that's what, like, they do all the lactate testing, not because like blood lactate is the be all end all, but it's a way of enforcing restraint. Right. So I wasn't doing the finger pricks. I was just using like heart rate and pace, but I think I pretty much nailed the spirit of the workout. And the whole time I'm doing it, my legs are like, dude, it's only 400 meters. We should go faster. But I wouldn't let myself. And I got to the end of it. I'm like, wow, that was actually a pretty beefy workout. And the paces weren't dawdling. I just could have, but so many athletes, if you just say it's 16 times 400 meters, they'll do everything at 90%, just like, it doesn't matter what the format is. They just mindlessly tailor their effort to the structure so that it's 90%. But what you do, like, the beauty of the method is like, if you just keep frustrating the part of you that wants to go 90% or more, you can do like prodigious amounts of like really quality work, but it's, tempered. And then, if you kind of stick to it and give it a chance to prove itself, you're like, the times start coming to you versus like you straining for the times, and you feel pretty great, like all the way through the process. And so like, just you need to be able to, internalize that virtue. It's like, all right, maybe it's not as sexy as grit, but it's important. And like, I'm going to nurture this virtue in myself as an athlete.
Huge. I love what you're saying. Again, my PhD work was in mental toughness. And one of the interesting findings to me was the higher the mental toughness, the more likely you're injured.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is when that's combined with this restraint, now it's valuable. In a vacuum, mental toughness, grit, resilience, depends on who you're talking to. It's a nice conversation piece, but it actually can make you worse if it's not combined with these other things. And P.S. I love the crossover. We had Brad Culp on a couple months ago talking about his Norwegian method book. Mastery. Obviously, your focus is endurance pursuits, but could you see some application of these pillars to different aspects of life as you were writing, as you've been discussing it, as you've been doing your interviews? Have a couple things bubbled to the surface that you didn't expect to see as you were writing this book about training, about endurance, about running, about cycling, triathlon, that this keeps coming up, and how it's helped people or could help people in other areas of life?
Yes. I mean, this notion of a mastery orientation, which is like, it's kind of considered like a personality trait or sub trait. Like that concept did not come from the endurance sports domain. It came from general psychology. So yeah, I mean, just because sports are just so obviously like bodily in nature, we tend to forget just how much the formula for success is the same. Yep. Like, whether you're a runner or a scientist or an astronaut or an artist, most of what it takes to be successful is between your ears, and it's mostly the same stuff. Right. And that mastery orientation is another. Like, what does that mean? It just like, it really is sort of like a process focus. So you have outcome goals, but you take your eyes off those as soon as you set it. Like, all right, I set the goal.
100%. Yes. Thank you for saying that.
Yes. And now it's about like today and tomorrow. And and just like you see it. Like if you go like hang out at the track when an Olympian is doing a workout, you see it. Like they are thinking their way through all these sessions. Like they're chatting with their coach or with their teammates. They're making they're fine tuning, making adjustments. And it's just like, wow, it's like watching an artist make art, or a scientist do science. Like just like very much like just like seeing that, like not looking past that session, like being 100% there, and yes, like aiming for perfection in the execution of that session, and then waking up the next day, forgetting about yesterday, not thinking about the end of the road, and just like trying to perfect that next session. That's like master orientation, and that's what you see, not just in top endurance athletes, but yeah, whatever you do. I mean, I certainly hope that I have that same orientation as a writer and as a coach that I have as an athlete.
So your statement that I was like, yes, process focus. Can you expand on that a little bit? Is it as simple as presence or mindfulness is getting so much attention now? Or is there something else to this process focus that, and you took the words totally out of my mouth. You set the goals, those guide the training structure, but as soon as it's set, you now step back into process. Can you build that out for us a little bit more, or just what's popping into your head as I'm asking that?
Yes. Just like an example of what it looks like and how it's distinct from doing something that, like, from a distance looks the same, but on the inside is not. Last Sunday I did a 22-mile run, and like I'm in a period it's like being a beginner again, because like I was pretty much bedridden
right.
for a long time.
Right.
Like went to,
it's been a while.
Zero, starting over.
Yep.
And now like my health is better, and like I'm getting fitter at a rate that I really haven't done since I was in high school, where I like ran the mile 9 times, PR'd 9 times.
Totally.
So like, it's exciting, like I'm a moving target. So I had done like a 20-mile run in the same venue 2 weeks before. And, and my pace was like average pace, 8:04 per mile, 7,000 feet, by the way. And so I remembered that, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm inching toward like sub 8-minute mile average for a long run. And so I had that in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, now I'm running 22 miles, 2 miles farther, same venue. I know what I've been doing recently. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if my average pace for the run is under 8 minutes per mile?
7:59.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do as an impatient athlete who knows he's impatient and knows he self-limits that way is like, I have one of my mantras that I'm carrying through all of my training is stay as comfortable as you can for as long as you can. I think that's like a critical to, succeeding in a 100-mile desert ultramarathon, which is what I'm training for. So, I said, yes, Matt, you would love to see a 7 as the first digit for your average pace, but like, guess what? Like, that is not what matters. That is not what matters. What matters is staying as comfortable as you can for as long as you can, and just seeing if the pace comes to you. So I go out there, and it's a little bit of a battle because I knew it was going to be close. I'm like, oh, wow. Like I got halfway through, and I'm like, it was like 1 hour, 28 minutes and 0 seconds for 11 miles, which is exactly eight flat. But the second half was like hillier, and it's warming up, and fatigue is starting to creep in.
No, totally.
And like I run like an 8:12. I'm like, oh, it's slipping away. And like that was the moment where like a younger Matt would have been, because I could have easily forced it. And I wouldn't have even had to force it that much because I was that close, but I didn't. I'm going to let it slip away, and I'm going to continue to stay as comfortable as I can for as long as I can. So I finished the run, stopped the watch. 8:01 per mile was my average pace, but I gave myself a big pat on the back for that. Like that was like, yes, the Matt of yesteryear would have been disappointed. Oh, so close. But for me, I'm like, yes, like I
did what I needed to do. Yeah.
Yes. And so that is like that, I think that process focus looks like. Like, I know what I'm here to do. There's going to be monkey mind chatter in my head. I need to tune that out and just, stay focused on what I came here to do, and because I know like the next time I run when I go out and run 24 miles in that same place, it's going to be 750 something per mile. And that's my reward for letting it come to me versus trying to go to it.
There's so much of value in there. I think, folks, it's worth rewinding and hearing that story again. Rewinding, boy, did I just age myself? But going back and hearing what he just said again, because it's this wise perspective of what really matters, not what matters in this exact second. That would look better on social media, that would look better on my Strava account. It's what are we doing for the long? And so I love the way you said that. The only way I've been able to get around it is not look at my watch. Like the last marathon I ran, I didn't look until I hit mile 23. Oh, nice. And my kids are like, you what now? How did you? I was just like, I know I screw up when I start doing math in my head and I get all excited and I over extrapolate. So I just said, I will look at mile 23 to see if I'm somewhere in the ballpark of where I want to be. And do I need to bring it home a little bit harder? And that's helped me, but you're doing an even better job of being able to I don't have that restraint yet. Maybe I will a year from now or so. Okay, so complacency. In your section on complacency, you suggest we're always should be trying one new thing. We just interviewed Alex Hutchinson talking about the explorer's gene, so he really takes a deep dive into that. How are you applying the trying something new in your life? Now, you've already shared one, actually, because you're on this comeback trail, and so there's so much new. But is there anything outside of athletics where you are exploring, where you're trying something new, where you're staying non-complacent in some other aspect of your life besides this exciting journey that you're currently on athletically?
Yes. I think probably the big one, it's not new, but it's recent, is actually mentorship. Yeah, because when I got sick, chronically ill, that was a major bummer because I was living my best life, when I got sick, as a result of a lot of just good choices I made, like following my passions, just carving out a professional and avocational niche for myself that was just my happy place, and reaping the rewards. And then I just get blindsided by bad health. And, for me, I'm like, all right, well, I'm clearly, I need to find a slightly different formula. I still wanted to be happy. I still wanted to have like a meaning and purpose in my life, but I didn't have some of the same outlets.
Sure.
More. So, around that time, I started, a mentorship program for, aspiring, endurance coaches. And we just had a call yesterday. So it's a very comprehensive. It's supposed to be like life-changing for a small number of people. So it's like a 1-year soup to nuts, very comprehensive apprenticeship in endurance coaching. And we had a meetup yesterday. Yesterday. And so we had all of our past apprentices on a call with our current apprentice. And it was just a chance for them, I just got out of the way. I was like the host. I put it together, but like super rewarding. It was just like beautiful to see, because all these people who'd been through like that very immersive experience that I built, relationships with. One of them lives in San Diego. We went out to dinner with her and her husband last night, and it just felt great. It's like, wow, like all of these people, they're like, all the past apprentices, like they are thriving professional endurance coaches, and they weren't before. Not that they like needed me or the program, but like they would all say like
it made a difference.
They did. And so for me, it's like a new role, and it's mostly, I'm not really concerned about what I get out of it. The whole idea is like to pour into other people, but I do get a ton out of it. And I'm learning a lot. And for me, like some people are just wired this way. They're wired for service. And for shepherding. I'm really not. I've always just been kind of a lone wolf. So I'm very late to the party, and just like realizing like how enriching it can be to put the focus on other people. And I don't even have to enumerate like what it's doing for me. I don't care. I just know that like I am absolutely benefiting from it and something I intend to continue.
Well, and I love that example because a lot of times when you say to somebody, so what are you exploring that's new in your life? They're like, look in the mirror. Let's see. I'm going to travel more. And you're saying, sure, those are great things, but don't neglect maybe an opportunity to stretch yourself in a service-oriented, community-benefiting manner, because you get double benefit. Like they benefit, you're going to grow. So yeah, that's a great example. Your final chapter discusses challenges and opportunities for aging athletes. You're 54, I'm 59. You and I are both living it. What do you see as some of the keys to effectively training and racing as we're getting closer to 60, beyond 60, et cetera?
Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah, I'm doing a deep dive in this realm.
Yeah, me too. It's a fun journey, but it's fun. Like that's a fun exploration.
It is. Yeah, I think this is a subject that does get talked about a lot. One thing that I think is really missing from the discussion is like all the advantages of getting older. Like the focus is like, like how do you compensate, or like how do you like how do you limit the losses? It's like, okay, yeah, that's all true, but like there are like clear advantages and benefits, like all the like the wisdom and experience. And the title of that chapter is More with Less. And I'm finding that myself, because like when you're young and your body's cooperating and everything's going your way, like you can be you can get away with a lot, and then as you get older and the constraints start to encroach, but you still like you're determined to just like do what you can with what you got. You get creative and resourceful, and you find like, wow, like I can pull levers now at this age that I could have pulled when I was younger, but I didn't 100%. Because I wasn't forced to. And so, things like, like working on combating my impatient impulses is a great example. So, like I'm not putting any ceiling on how, at what level I'll be able to perform at ultimately. We'll see. And I would love to be competitive with my much younger self. And if I am, it's not because like I turned back the clock. It's because I found and exploited like the advantages and benefits of being older.
Yeah. Love it. We'll continue that conversation over the years. All right. Your 2011 book, Iron War, is still one of my favorites. I've emailed you in the past. And any chance you've got something along those lines teed up for the future? I mean, that was a masterpiece, my friend. I still reread it. Every time I've done Kona, I bring it with me and I reread it. I mean, we kind of love to have you bring Prefontaine back to life.
There's a brand new Prefontaine biography.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, brand new one. I just swam across my radar recently. Yeah, I mean, Iron War was a lightning in a bottle thing. Like, it was, I was in the perfect environment to write that book. I mean, I was living in San Diego, where I'm visiting right now, which is like, it was the epicenter for triathlon in the 1980s. Like, I was working at a company that's morphed, but it was competitor group then. My desk was 15 feet from the desk of Bob Babbitt, who was the guy who named Iron War.
Right.
Was like, I could like throw a piece of gum and bounce it off his head, and just got to pick his brain every day. Just like threw myself into the research. I remember like going to Hawaii for whatever, like it was probably the 2010 Ironman World Championship, and doing like an entire day-long tour of the course with Bob. Like I was driving, he's in the passenger seat, and he's just like pointing out all the spots and like all the lore attached to all these places, like lightning in a bottle. Like there's no way I could write that book today. And just such a unique, special story. Yeah. So, I mean, I would love to, but like there's just so much serendipity went into that one. And yeah, I'm always excited about like what I'm working on now, but I feel, yeah, because like, yeah, that was a heck of a lot of fun to tell that story. And if I live long enough, I might get another opportunity to tell one like it.
Well, it's beautiful. Folks, if you have not read Iron War, get Iron War. Thank you for your time. Any final tips, any things I haven't teed up here that you're like, Coop, you got to throw out this one, or we're not going to get to the main, any of that stuff that I've missed?
I guess, I mean, one last point I would make is that, there is a difference between like mastery and peak performance. For me, I feel like I didn't really approach mastery as an endurance athlete until I was past my physical peak. And so, and champions are like this too. Like I mentioned, speaking of Iron War, Dave Scott, who won the Ironman World Championship 6 times, and none of those victories is his favorite race.
Yeah, that was a great story you shared.
When he finished 5th at 42.
Yeah.
Because like that's what champions are about. Like they would much rather lose and stretch themselves to new limits than win easy. And that's the mastery orientation. And so I think it's helpful. It comes easier for some athletes than others, but to recognize like, like you can keep getting better as an athlete long after you've passed your physical peak. You can get closer to reaching your full potential, even when your potential is diminished. When I ran the Javelina 100K last October with very much unresolved long COVID, like I was dangerously underprepared for that race. And I finished it. And I mean, just getting to the start line, when I signed up for that race, I wasn't running at all, couldn't run. And I told people I'm giving myself about a 10% chance of making it to the start line of that race. And I pulled it off. And the younger, stronger, healthier, fitter me could not have done that. I'm so much stronger mentally than I was when I was at my physical peak, and the satisfaction of crossing that finish line, like unmatched in my experience. Like it was ugly, it was dangerous, and it was incredible. And so that's what's out there. Like, this journey can continue as long as you like, if like that's where you get your kicks from stretching yourself and just being more than you were yesterday, and in ways that have nothing to do with your physical limits.
Well, it's really the process versus outcome you've been talking about our entire conversation here. That's it in a nutshell. Yeah, absolutely. Great work, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you again. Keep it up.
Likewise. Appreciate you, Brad.
Thanks again to Matt for joining us on the Coaching Lab podcast. As I mentioned in the very first one, he's one of a very, very limited, I think 4 people, maybe 5, over our 370-so-ish episodes that has been invited back. You understand why. He brings so much to the table, so many insights, and he's a good dude. So anyway, fun to have that conversation. Thanks for coming back, Matt. It was good. And if you have any questions about coaching, integrating into your organization, pursuing your certification, we are here for you. Reach out, results@catalystcoachinginstitute.com. We can set up some time to talk through whatever it is that you're looking to fill the gaps on in your career, your organization, or some things maybe you're kicking around about your future. So thank you. This is Dr. Brad Cooper with Catalyst Coaching Institute. I will speak with you soon on another episode of the Coaching Lab podcast, or maybe over on the YouTube coaching channel.